Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm so glad you're here to join me. My name is Renee. I am an intuitive healer, and it is my mission to help people to heal from codependency and abuse, to learn to love themselves, and to know their value. And for today's episode, I wanted to talk about and dive into this connection between having a history of abuse and or chronic stress and autoimmune disorders. So before I jump in, I just want to say that one thing that is commonly felt by people who have autoimmune disorders is this feeling of being fragile, fearful, cautious, and holding back from fully living life. So what I'm going to be doing is approaching this topic and this connection, this correlation from an energetic and metaphysical perspective, and also from the emotional perspective, because it's really interesting if when we look at how one starts and feeds the other. So let's jump in. All right, so if we grew up in an environment where there was abuse present, or you had a parent or both parents who were alcoholics, or there was just a great amount of dysfunction, or you had chronic strife with one or both of your parents or with siblings, and the whole upbringing was full of tension and strife and hardship, and you were seldom at ease and seldom comfortable, if you didn't get that love and nurturing and encouragement that you needed, and perhaps you had to parent yourself and you had to be the parent or the caretaker for your parents. Here's what happens when you grow up in that kind of environment. You get wired for fight or flight. So if you grew up where there was abuse, you learned that you weren't safe, and you learned that you had to be ready. You learned to be in survival mode, and you learned that well. But the thing is that when you grow up with that, it sets you up, it lays the foundation for going through more trauma and more struggle and more of that same kind of dynamic as an adult. So if you grew up and you saw that the relationships in your home were violent or unhappy, or there were a lot of insults and name calling and silent treatment and projection and all this thing going on, you didn't see healthy relationships modeled, the foundation was laid for you to then repeat that later in life, unless that gets healed, unless you recognize and do the inner work and the healing so that you don't repeat that. But so when we have that foundation, what can happen is that those lessons, that modeling that we saw early in life, then we go into our lives as adults, and that dynamic, those feelings, the negative thinking that we learned gets repeated as an adult. So it's oftentimes what happens is that you end up as an adult going through chronic and serial trauma, chronic upheaval, chronic stress, whether it's with your work or money, with your relationships. Maybe you don't have a stable place to live and you're always on the go. And then what happens is at some point health issues can begin. So the underlying feeling with autoimmune disorders is, of course, the one of the common thread of stress that I mentioned. Also, that you don't feel safe or supported in the world. And this is coming from the place of, you learned early on that the world is not safe. Your home wasn't safe. Your relationships weren't safe. That people are always going to hurt you. And you learned, again, like I said, to be in this survival mode. And you became an expert at it. But what it does is that it changes your wiring. It changes your neurochemistry, so that you don't know how to relax, and you don't know how to feel safe, and you don't know how to have those healthy relationships until you start to work on that and heal it. So some examples of autoimmune disorders are things like systemic lupus, multiple sclerosis, rheumatoid arthritis, psoriasis and eczema, Crohn's disease, colitis, inflammatory bowel disorders, alopecia, lymphadenopathy, which is just a systemic swelling of the lymph nodes in the body. And you may find that you also have an increasing list of food sensitivities, so that the amount of foods that you can eat is gradually decreasing, and that list is getting shorter because you keep reacting to different foods. So in all of these, what's happening, there's this energetic component, and the body is attacking itself. The body learned to be in such fight or flight, and it learned to be on such high alert, ready for that, that next battle, that it learned to fight against itself. And if you look at any of these disorders, whether it's, maybe something that you personally are dealing with, or if you just look at them objectively, and you can see kind of what is happening here. So if we look at any sort of bowel disorders, there's oftentimes what that metaphysically represents is buried anger in the colon that has not been healed, early childhood trauma that has not been healed. And there's a strong connection between the liver and the gut, the liver and the skin. If we look at things like skin rashes like psoriasis and eczema, if you look at it, it's red, it's hot and itchy, and it's how the stress that is inside the body is trying to get out of the body through itchy, red, hot lesions on the skin. It's just bursting through the skin. So if you look at any of these, and you can look at, what are the symptoms like rheumatoid arthritis, the joints attacking themselves, a lack of stability, a lack of feeling supported, and kind of look at it from what is happening. And that gives you a lot of clues as to what the emotional component is. So, like I said, the body is so used to defending itself because you are used to that chronic stress. So the body is releasing this chemical cocktail of hormones to prepare you for that incoming stress. Now, look at it this way. This is, on one hand, this can be a good thing, as we all know. Like, let's say you were given an assignment at work and it's slightly out of reach. It's going to kind of push your limits, and you had to put in extra work and maybe feel a little bit of pressure. You feel a little bit of stress coming on about this assignment, but you'll do the work, you'll go through the process, you give the presentation, and then you just like leveled up a little bit, you feel really good, you got out of your comfort zone, and that was a stressor. Another example, let's say you decide to do a tough workout, you're feeling really good, really rested, and then you're going through that workout and you're feeling yourself struggle and you're working through it. All your body's systems are firing with elevated heart rate, elevated respiration, elevated cortisol levels, elevated blood pressure, designed to get you through that stressor. The problem is when you have long-term elevated chronic stress. So like take those two examples I gave you, and you have that chemical cocktail being released in the body, but it's not just for these couple of moments. It's the majority of the time. And what it does is that it damages the body's organs. It affects your adrenals. It affects the colon. It affects how you're digesting your food. It affects the level of stomach acid in your stomach. It's affecting your nervous system wiring. So like I said, you are primed for the fight or flight. You are primed to go into battle. And relaxing is hard. Maybe you struggle with insomnia, or you have difficulty shutting off that mental, your brain, that supercomputer as known as your brain. So I believe that autoimmune disorders can be healed. They can be eliminated if we make changes. And in the very least, they can be greatly reduced and managed. So I have a couple of questions, and then I'm going to give you some affirmations. So the two questions to ponder are, do you feel safe in the world? And do you feel supported in life? And I kind of, I got to that earlier. Chances are you don't feel safe and you don't feel supported, and you feel like it's all on your shoulders. There's a tremendous amount of pressure, and you can't make a mistake, and you have to do it all, and things are tough the majority of the time. So what we have to do and how we can help ourselves to heal is we got to change some things. We have to ask ourselves some tough questions. And first thing I'm going to do is just offer you some affirmations. I'm just going to repeat these once, but I encourage you to stop this video and write them down as I say them, or write them in the comments section. Just comment a couple of these affirmations, or write them down on a piece of paper and tape it onto your kitchen cupboard or your microwave or the bathroom mirror, but put it somewhere where you're going to see it multiple times or carry it around in your pocket. Here's what I want you to repeat to yourself. I am safe. I am supported. I am protected. My body is healing. My nervous system is rewiring. I allow myself to relax. My body is at peace. My immune system is healing. I no longer live in fear. I am safe, and I don't need to be on the defensive anymore. It is safe to let my guard down. I am safe. Okay. Write some of that down or all of it down and repeat that and read that. Say it out loud. It's just really good to start reprogramming your subconscious mind. One of the things that we can do to heal is to change our diet. Now, be honest. I never, I'm not saying keep a food journal. What I am saying is look objectively, honestly at your diet and see how and if you can eliminate processed foods, fast food, refined sugars, or the majority of sugar to begin with, and try to eat more whole foods, things that aren't processed, that don't come from a box or don't come from the frozen section, but things that are fresh that you prepare. And I know we live in a complicated and busy world, but just see if you can make a couple of changes, like reduce soda, eliminate soda, quit drinking, just feed your body high quality fuel, just like you would put in high quality gasoline into your car. Treat yourself with that same level of care. When we change our diet to more whole foods, it's also going to help to heal our gut. So eliminate the processed food, the refined flour, the refined sugar, the alcohol, the junk. Just get the junk out. We need the gut to heal because there's a strong connection between the gut and autoimmune disorders as well. The second thing is to change your lifestyle. And this may necessitate a change in job or career. And I know that's not always an easy thing to do. We can't just always up and leave our jobs. We have bills to pay and people depending on us. But start to look into that and examine your job and examine, is your work, that's like a third of your day. Is that feeding you spiritually? Is that nurturing your heart? Is that something you look forward to every day? Or do you have tons and tons of negative feelings that come out that your body is experiencing and your mind is experiencing when you think about going to work in the morning? Are you going into an environment that's toxic? Are you going into an environment where there's so much pressure and so much stress so that you are, again, always in this perpetual and chronic state of stress? The next thing, and this is one of the most important, is to change your thinking and heal your subconscious mind. On my channel, I have videos about tapping, also called emotional freedom technique, and I have lots of resources for that. I have a book and an online course and also videos. But tapping is a way that we can help rewire our subconscious mind. So if you grew up with a lot of trauma and dysfunction and then had that throughout your adult years too, what can happen is we have so much negative thinking. And when we have an autoimmune disorder, it can be easy to start to feel like this thing is so big, it has me. I'm a victim of this. I can't do this. It's too big. It's too big. I guess I'll just have to settle. I guess, I'll just have to play it safe and be cautious. It's the question I asked earlier in the video. I guess I can't travel because I can't trust my body, or I can't do these things because I might have a flare up. I might have another outbreak or something like that. So we got to change this on a deep level of really looking at our thinking, paying attention to our thoughts, healing the subconscious mind. I recommend tapping, meditation, and self-hypnosis. If the self-hypnosis maybe gives you some uncertainty, you're not sure what it is, it's really just kind of entering into a state of deep relaxation while you are listening to or saying out loud affirmations. This is just another way that we can reprogram the subconscious. The last thing, and I'll close with this, is to surround yourself with love and support in any way that you can, whether that is to spend time with your dog, your cat, with your kids, out in nature, find a support group, or watch videos like this one, or just surround yourself with affirmations and words and the vibration that's positive and uplifting. You have already been through enough. You have been through enough trauma. You have been through enough pain, and this can be healed. And to know that this can improve, this can be better, and you're changing and rewiring your nervous system. You're forming new neural connections instead of the old way that maybe went right into feeling like, I can't do anything about this. It's too big. It's too much. It's painful. I guess it's just the way it's going to be. And my family messed me up and all this stuff. Instead of thinking like that, we got to turn that around and change it so that we feel empowered. We can do something. This can turn around. This can and is improving. This is getting better. And this is not bigger than me. My spirit is bigger than it. See what I mean? And just notice the way those words feel as I said them. The last statements just feel better. They just make you feel happy and excited and joyful. So work on that and surround yourself with as much love and support, people, places, things that allow you to feel calm, that allow you to feel safe and to relax. So I hope that this was helpful. I'm going to close here. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone you feel may benefit from it. Thank you so much for joining me and for coming along this journey and for working on yourselves. Be well, and I will see you next week.